Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Friday, 23 January. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about the US has officially exited the World Health Organization. EU leaders seek to preserve ties with the United States, and Putin has met with Trump's envoys as Kremlin says the Ukraine settlement hinges on territory. So firstly, the US has officially withdrawn from the WHO, or World Health Organization, a year after President Donald Trump announced he was putting an end to America's 78-year commitment to the health agency. Trump notified the United Nations Health Agency a year ago when he signed an executive order on the first day of his office in 2025. There's a 1-year waiting period before the withdrawal was finalized. The United States cited the organization's alleged mishandling of COVID-19 pandemic and other global health crises among reasons to quit the body. He also said the US membership in the organization required unfairly onerous payments. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Health Secretary John F. Kennedy published a statement on Thursday saying the United States withdrew from the WHO, freeing itself from its constraints. Washington's withdrawal appears to be messy, with the US appearing to still owe $130 million to the agency, according to the WHO, but there is uncertainty and disagreement over who and if they will pay for it. So what? Again, much like everything that's been happening within the Trump organization, this one isn't unsurprising. Trump was extremely critical of the WHO throughout COVID and their handling of the COVID pandemic, as well as, how they treat the United States and also how they treated China. I don't really blame them for this. I feel the WHO was, they didn't really do their job. They weren't impartial. They weren't unbiased. They appeared to fall in line with certain things that, certain foreign governments were trying to push. And we don't actually know where COVID came from or what caused it. So we can't prevent it from happening again. So I don't really blame the US for this. Also, much like lots of other UN organizations, the US did have to pay a lot more than everyone else. So fuck them. This is one of the things that I kind of understand what Trump is trying to do here. Yeah. And next, European Council President Antonio Costa has said that EU leaders believe it's very important to preserve and cherish their transatlantic partnership. He made the commitments after chairing an emergency summit in Brussels late on Thursday. The evening meeting was called to reassess ties with the United States over President Trump's threats to annex the semi-autonomous Danish territory of Greenland and impose tariffs on selected EU nations. But on the eve of the summit, while attending the WEF, or World Economic Forum in Davos, Trump suspended his tariff threats and said he wouldn't use force to take the Arctic island. So what? Yeah, of course, the EU still needs to preserve its ties with the US, but it should be reassessing them and how, it's kind of distributing its diplomatic effort. Yeah, I don't know. I like the speech the other day from Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Like, the EU and the rest of the world should start looking to make their own ties, start to try and build a strong middle block so they're not getting pushed around by both the United States and China. Yeah, that just seems fair enough and a smart move. Whether the EU do it is kind of up to them, but I hope so. Yeah, the US has been quite bullying in their moves recently, so it would be good to come together in a much stronger alliance with other nations who seek similar world orders. And lastly, Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the settlement in Ukraine with US President Donald Trump's envoys during a marathon of overnight talks. The Kremlin insisted that a territorial issue needs to be resolved to reach a peace deal. The Kremlin meeting, which lasted past 3 a.m. on Friday morning, came hours after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sharply criticized European allies on Thursday for what he cast as their slow, fragmented response to Russia's nearly 4-year full invasion of Ukraine. Kremlin Foreign Affairs advisor Yuri Ushakov, who participated in Putin's meeting with Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, said that it was reaffirming that reaching a long-term settlement can't be expected without solving the territorial issues, a reference to Moscow's demand that Kiev withdraw troops from areas in the east that Russia illegally annexed but never fully captured. So what? I said this the other day. These peace agreement, like this peace talks, they aren't moving forward. They're it's stalemated around one particular idea to do with Russia wants territory and Ukraine wants security guarantees. So, without either of them agreeing to either of those, nothing's going to change. We're not going to move forward. The US will likely try and pressure Ukraine to agree to the territorial to giving up territory in the east and handing it over to Russia. And I think it's possible that Ukraine would give up this territory if Russia allows foreign troops, especially Western forces, to come into Ukraine to provide security guarantees to them. Because, of course, Ukraine isn't going to trust Russia. Until this changes, these talks, all these meetings are pointless. We're just rehashing the same points of view and nothing is going to change. If neither side is willing to budge, then there's going to never be an agreement. But that's just my point of view. Anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again on Monday. See you.